Good science, by definition, allows for more than one opinion. Otherwise, you merely have the will of one man, which is the basis of cult.
If it's not in frame, it doesn't exist.
I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take this anymore!
I'm funny how? I mean funny like I'm a clown, I amuse you?
Where you been?
Drunk.
Wendy, darling, light of my life.
What is your one purpose in life?
To explode, of course.
I like death with sex. How about you, Casey? You like sex with death?
Yeah, so fuck off and die.
I feel like there is somebody at a server who's watching my internet and they're throttling it. They're like, don't make sure he's only paying for 3 megabytes.
Just a guy just actually choking the cords, like.
Yeah, dude. No, literally, he's about to. There's like one guy there that's just ready to unplug it because he's like, oh, it's gonna go to 3.2 megabytes for this guy.
So, this is good places, Eddie. This is the Cult of Cinema Knowledge podcast. That's Jordan. I'm Levi over here. You may not notice it on the audio because I'm such a fucking technician that it sounds perfect every time. Just kidding. Probably not. But the video, it's if you notice any problems, it's because there's a little man throttling Jordan's internet as we speak.
Literally though, like I downgrade every single place I go. I'm like traveling through like Best Westerns. I feel like I'm traveling salesman or something.
If you're on YouTube and you're watching the video, Jordan just is like in a pantry. Like I know where you are because I know your mom's house a little bit, but like I know you're like in the kitchen. It's like,
I know it feels odd. I'm gonna have I got like laundry rocking in the back. I don't even know what my audio is gonna be like. There's like a dog that barks and
it's good, man.
It's just like there's a banshee that wails outside. I have no idea what noises we're gonna get.
It's still probably better than mine. I'm always having sirens or my squeaky chair.
Oh yeah, no, your squeak, dude. Your squeak comes out. Pretty good.
Okay, all right.
I know, right?
Control yourself.
I was gonna segue with what these 1960s police have to deal with is nothing gets throttled in this baby. It is full octane,
except for that woman at the end.
Oh God, yeah, dude. Spoilers.
This
is a spoiler podcast.
She gets
dude.
throttled with the purest heroin known to man.
I know. Well, dude, now I was actually like really tempted. I was like, is like
to do heroin
really that dirty when it comes? I want that pure. I want to try pure. Well, and then I was really mad that no one ever said 100%. What's 100% heroin?
Dude,
it comes 93% already? Like they're like, oh, it comes the purest form is 93.
I feel like if somebody made 100% pure heroin, it would just like fucking open a rift in space time or something.
Is that just what they give? That's what they give to death row inmates.
It is. It's always like I wish, dude.
Brutal.
They give death row inmates like Drano. Like
they really do. The cocktail is brutal, dude. It's like epoxy putty in there and stuff. I don't know.
No, we'll get.
We're not.
We will get.
I guess we do. There is death penalty in this movie.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We
will get to the heroin, and I'm curious what the death penalty was in Japan in the '60s, like the method. We should look that up.
Oh no, I don't know.
Firing squad, right?
A big stone.
Just piling rocks on them until they die.
Crushed,
just slowly.
Yeah.
Get a grip, man.
All right. So decapitation, but I don't know. That's I'm being racist, but
right. I wish. God, I hope we should bring it back.
No, I said we should have the firing squad back, but I want to know my bullet's loaded.
Utah's got
know
a firing
my gun
squad.
is loaded. I would love it, dude. To give me the rifle that's got the bullet in it.
Hey,
That's
Utah's got the firing squad. So while you're here, if you're gonna get death row, if you're gonna commit a crime like killing someone with heroin and then kidnapping some guy's kid that's not really his kid and then holding him for extortion, do it here because you'll get the death row and they'll shoot you. Hopefully, they might give you lethal injection with Drano. So I don't know.
I know that's probably really all we're gonna say is don't do anything bad. Watch good movies. Like this movie. Hi and hello.
It was a struggle, but we got there eventually. So High and Low is the movie that we watched this week by Akira Kurosawa. So thanks for coming. There it is.
Welcome aboard.
So this movie,
literally a train.
Yeah, this movie. Let's get a quick synopsis. Let's just get out of the way and get talking about it. Right. So, High and Low. This is what we watched this week. 1963, directed by Akira Kurosawa, and it's weird because it's like, you might be like, who's this Akira Kurosawa guy?
Yeah.
And we did Seven Samurai, right, for the podcast.
I swear to God, we've done a third, but I know for 100%.
We did
fact
Ran.
Seven Samurai.
And we did Ran.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is Ran. Yeah,
Back in
yeah,
the
yeah,
day.
yeah.
It's been a while.
So
but
so only his. I mean, well, not. He is a samurai boy, so that's kind of that's what you're getting at.
well, right. That's why
It's
I was excited to watch this because it's like I had only seen his samurai movies, right? Yojimbo as well, and Throne of Blood. I think is the only other one.
Did you see Russia or?
I've never seen all of
Rashomon.
Rashomon. No, I like
Yeah.
that's one that I like. I'm not even 100% sure, but I watched it in a scene in high school from Brandon's class,
Oh,
and a scene from Dreams, but I've not seen them actually. Like,
Oh, dude, Dreams is probably one of my favorite Kurosawa films. So
I want to watch it because it just looks weird, and like when
it's so good.
his black and white cinematography is excellent, but like I love the color in Ran so much.
Dude,
that
colors in Dreams?
Dreams, like what I saw of Dreams, I'm
Holy
like,
shit.
yeah, bud.
It is dude. It's crazy. It's so weird how he it's. I mean, it was made in 82 or something like that. It was
Yeah,
right
something like that.
before he died, and it was one of his last films. And but it looks like it's shot in black and white, and then it's been colored.
Yeah,
It's
that is
color's
kind of like
so
his thing.
deep.
Like it's like when they just discovered that they could add color later in like all those old movies. You know, that's what it feels like. But it's
And it's
beautiful.
I feel like I don't know what happened if they collected all of the good color out of the earth and put it into films
That
back
is
in
the
60s,
pigments,
but,
yeah.
or back in up into the 70s, because it's I don't know what happened to that beautiful saturation.
You know, that's
It's
true.
gone,
You
man.
really don't see a good richness in the color of movies that often anymore. It is so much richer back then. But it's funny because the last 3 movies we watched have been in black and white. So
Black and white, right? Yeah. Okay.
which
so anyways,
the black and white in this movie we'll get into. But so for the uninitiated, because this is an older movie for some of you folks. If
we're
you've
doing 60s month, so
Yeah.
it should be.
Yeah, buddy. So high and low, it's this this businessman that's high up in this company, the shoe company, is meeting with some dudes to discuss a hostile takeover and what they're gonna do to go the direction of the company. And he basically is like, no, I want to do my own thing because you guys are a bunch of cheap bastards. So on the down low, I'm gonna do my hostile takeover. And he's got his sidekick, his understudy assistant or whatever, and his
Business
wife.
partner, yeah.
And so he pisses these guys off and says fuck you, I ain't going with you guys. You guys make cheap shoes. I'm making real shoes for G's. And so he's like, I'm gonna do. Little did they know, he discovers his wife later. He's like, haha, little did they know, I've been buying percentages in the company this whole time, and I just made a deal to buy another percentage, so I am the controlling shareholder. Man, I'm gonna kick them out. And so it's all fine and dandy, but meanwhile, his son and his chauffeur's son are about the same age. They're playing cowboys and cowboys and outlaws
sheriff-
together.
or sheriff and outlaw.
Sheriff
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
outlaw together.
Right,
They're
yeah.
playing around, and then suddenly, Mr. Gondo, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's
Right.
yeah. Can go Gondo.
Gondo.
I'm gonna say Gondo because we're white and
So white.
we apologize. And
It
if
would
you
be
have
worse
the
if
correct
we tried
pronunciation,
to say
please.
it with
Well, yeah, I'm not gonna give an accent.
Can
But, yeah.
you please
No,
for the folks at home?
no, not for the folks at home.
Yeah,
You
go-
just picture it in your head, whatever offensive, South Park iteration you want to.
Yeah, that's
it, but,
man.
but yeah, yeah.
So Gondo, he gets a call, and some guy's like, "Hey, bitch, I got your son. You better give me 30 million
Really,
yen."
though?
And he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, my son!" And then his son walks in the room's like, "Hey, what's going on,
6
everybody?"
seconds later.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
his
really thought
mom-
they were gonna draw that out.
The wife started freaking out, and they're like,
Yeah.
"My son's in the room," and he's like, "Wait, where's the chauffeur's son, Shinchiro, or whatever the fuck his name is?" And they're like, "Oh no, he accidentally took the wrong boy." And so they're trying to, the chauffeur's freaking out. They're trying to figure out what to do. He's like, calls the cops, even though the guy says not to call the cops. The cops come and they sneak into the house so that then nobody watching will know the cops are there. And so it's all these 4 inspectors show up in the house, and they start trying to figure it out. They tap the phones. Another call comes in from the kidnapper and is like, I figured out that it's not your son, but still pay me or I'm going to kill this other kid. And that's going to be on
It'll
you.
Death on your hands.
And
yeah,
so,
yeah.
it weighs. There's all these ins and outs about them trying to figure out how to, where he's coming from. Because Gondo lives on a house on the hill, and if they're being it's find out they're definitely being watched in this house, and so they got to keep the blinds covered so they don't know a bunch of cops are there. And they're trying to figure it out, and all the while, Gondo's sweating it out of being like, do I pay and throw away? Because, you find out that the money he did to buy the percentage in his company is everything he has. It's all his house is down. He put a fucking second mortgage on his house and all this shit to get the money to buy this company. But now he's like, do I give this money to these kidnappers to save, my chauffeur's son? And they're not close, but it's his employee or whatever. Their sons are close, or so it's like, But he's struggling with like, do I ruin myself and my career and my future financially for the life of this child? And his assistant is like, you're weak. So I sold you out because you thought about saving this kid when you should have been a shark.
Right. You contemplated. Say, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, you should have been a shark. So he sells him out to the other guys anyway. So like, there's all this fucking political fucking corporate intrigue kind of going on in the background during this kidnapping. So eventually he decides to give the kidnapper what he wants. So he gets
with the police's like suggestion to just pretend so they can set up a sting.
Yeah, like it's keep it going, drag it out, tell him you're gonna do it, and then it's like this is like the early '60s, so it's just like he does pull out the money. It's a personal thing. He does get the money. He like gets a suitcase that's very specific from the kidnapper demands, and they put like a smoke bomb in it that if it gets wet and then like. They don't have the bugs or anything. Yeah, if it gets burned, it releases. Oh yeah, if it gets burned, it releases the smoke.
Right.
And then the smell if it gets wet.
Which is such a sick shot. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they set it up, and the guy's like, "All right, get on this train." So he gets on the train with the suitcases of cash, and they're waiting to sting this guy on the train. And but he gets a call on the train, and he's like, "All right, you're gonna see this little boy on the bridge. I want you to dump them. You see the boy, and then I want you to dump the money out the window."
Right.
And so they're like, "Oh fuck, he's not even on the train, and we can't stop." So they start filming so they could try and get some evidence. He gets to the other side of the train. He dumps the money. Bada bing, bada bam. He's out 30 mil, and they get away, and he's very sad now. And so it kind of shifts gears to being more about the investigative side of things. And Gondo's just like super sad, and he just mows the lawn in his suit and sweats profusely.
Yeah, right. He just
the cops are trying to figure out. They do get the kid back, and the kid tries to help them figure out the location. They eventually there's literally every man on the police force is working on it apparently, because there's like 500 dudes.
That was amazing. Like, because then they get farther into it, and the investigation work is like, it's shot so well, and it's really cool.
It's great.
They're doing your classic police detective work where they're canvassing the city, asking people, figuring it out.
Everyone's got their bit of clues,
And then as they're getting closer, you start to see the perspective of the actual criminal who did it, and who got the money, and he's reading the headlines, figuring out that like, shit, they're actually really on to me.
They're closing in.
He pays like an incinerator to burn it, just burn the briefcases and get rid of it.
Yeah, he takes the money and burns the briefcases.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. But
which
burns briefcases
has the pink smoke. They're like, Dad, look at the pink smoke. And it's so cool because they like did the pink over the black and white.
Right.
Pretty awesome.
So good. Old school technique too. Yeah.
And they're eventually led, between their clues and the kids remembering, they're led to this house on the hill where he was kept. In this other part of town or whatever, and they find the woman and man that helped the accomplices at the bridge. They're dead from a heroin overdose. And so they find out it's the purest heroin known to man. They did too much pure heroin.
Next lead.
They slowly get there. They figure out that the guy was like, he's an intern at the hospital, and these were his patients, and he got them all this heroin to like help him out, and they used some of the money, to get more heroin, and he killed them. They deduced that he killed them to shut them up by giving them pure heroin because they're addicts and untrustworthy.
Yeah, right.
So
he OD'd them, and then
they found him, but then they're like, well, we don't want to get him just for the kidnapping because that's only like 10 to 15 years or whatever. So let's try and get him on these murders.
On murder.
So they're like, let's pretend these people are still alive and try and coax him back into there. Which is a weird plan, but then
I got really confused with the plan. But, we'll talk about that.
This is the only part of the movie I didn't really like, but the dude buys more heroin and he goes to go reenact his plan, and they follow him through this fucking the the jazz-filled slums of the heroin alley.
I know heroin alley. Yeah,
and
great.
fucking
drug alley.
You know, he goes back to dose these guys, and he gets caught, and then he's like, no. And Mr. Gondo gets all his money back. But luckily, everyone loves Mr. Gondo because
Right, 'cause he got the kid back.
He
so
becomes like a folk legend almost.
the
Like
press,
even though
the press runs
he's-
him in
he's
the
pushed
good light.
out, but it's kind of too late by then. He gets his money back, but his career's ruined. But he's with a new startup, like a smaller shoe company, trying to live that good life and all that. And meanwhile, the kid that they caught eventually that did the kidnapping, he's like, I live in the fucking I can't sleep because it's too cold at night and it's too hot during the day in my place in the slums, and I was looking at your house on the hill, constantly resenting, and it's like, you're in heaven, I'm in hell, which is like the original translation of heaven and hell.
The original
or
title,
high and low,
that's
right? And so but he's on death row, and he's like, I just wanted to tell you that I'm not scared. I don't give a fuck, and I'm gonna tell you, eat the rich, bro, eat the rich, or whatever. Yeah. And then it ends. That's how it goes.
Yeah, he's shaking from he doesn't care if he dies, but he's shaking because he feels like he can get into heaven or something like that. It was beautifully written, but yeah, I was like, oh man, that acting, dude, people don't act like that anymore, and it's heartbreaking.
It is.
I wish we had that. But I'm very confused. I want to say real quick before we get into our first impressions. Why did he kill that woman in Cocaine Alley like on purpose? Did he think it was a bad? Was that another bad woman? Another person that worked with him?
No,
I got
dude,
a little confused.
He just, as far as I understand, he just
grabbed
grabbed
the
some
murder fever.
Yeah, dude, he just grabbed some junkie off the street and was like, "Hey, try this heroin." And the cops are like, "Hey, he's gonna get that chick to try the heroin to see if it's deadly enough." And so they chase him in there, and she's dead from an overdose. And they're like, "Oh, I guess it is deadly enough. Let's go catch him in this other scheme," which is what got me. That I'm like, this woman that he did just basically kill by. Well, I mean, I guess she killed herself or whatever. But
no. I mean, that's murdering somebody. Like
straight up,
like straight up.
Well,
he did it on purpose.
If what he did to that couple is murder by basically sabotaging the heroin by giving them too strong a heroin, then that's what. But a prostitute or whatever, some addict's life means nothing apparently, because they are literally like, "Oh, I guess he's right," and I'm like, "No, you got him right there, bud. Like you already had him, and you got him even harder now. That is life probably, but whatever.
Right.
Continue your sting operation." And so they get
that
him.
was the only
The ending, the back third is my only struggles.
Right, and it sucks because I think it's just overshadowed. So now on to first impressions.
Yeah.
My first impression was, I thought, because the first hour is like in one room, like it's in that. In his house.
Have you not seen this? I thought you said you saw it before.
No. I've only seen the scene when they're on the phone recording and the guy's like, open the blinds, and it's like that. It's like we watched that because it's just like a really intense.
Yeah.
It's like a beautifully, the choreography of that whole scene is amazing. When the blinds open and they like get down on the
They're
ground
all
and, like,
under the table
and how it's shot under the table, it's dude.
So
and,
good.
Like, it's amazing, and like that, like, and the backdrop, how it's all hand painted and everything, it's like fucking dope. And so that we saw that in school, and I was like, oh cool, high and low. And it was kind of weird because at the time I was like, at Kurosawa, I was like, I didn't know he did like regular, I guess, quote unquote, like just kind of, I don't know, crime thriller, noir style movies.
Which is funny because
only samurai.
The first Kurosawa movie I ever saw, I always forget, is Ikaru.
Ikaru, I guess that's true, huh?
But I do always forget about it. I do kind of always forget about it somehow. I should watch it again. Ikaru rules.
I know, and that's what I mean. We bonded over Ikaru.
We did.
That was one of our first. That's my first memories of you.
One of our first conversations
talking about that, and like, yeah. That movie's amazing.
It is. It's really good.
It's like I can't get it. It's haunting. Where like this really was high octane until kind of the back third, because it really was kind of a bummer. But anyways, my first impression with that, I thought for just a second, I was like, this crazy bastard's gonna make this whole entire movie
I was
rope
stoked.
style, like
I
just,
was
just
stoked.
Hitchcock style.
Yeah,
dude. Because I was like, it could carry the momentum. But then, then the second they said meet me on the train, I was like, oh, okay. Here's kind of.
And I was ready. I was like,
second act.
Yeah, I was. I was
nice to get out of the
hoping.
room.
I was hoping it'd stay in the room, kind of. But then I was like, 2 hours and 20.
Well,
I don't know, man.
Yes.
Like
That's
as
I didn't know. Yeah.
Just as I was starting to get over
it,
right? Yeah, I was like, okay. And then
Right.
they moved to the train. I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
It was. Yeah, it was fresh, and it felt good. And like that train is like, it's funny. They shot that train without like passengers knowing. Like it was a lot of it was like filmed where like people are just polite and they were just like not really paying attention to the cameras or trying to be in it. Like it was really funny. They like shot it all like live essentially.
I know
Like,
they're
the
over
extras
there,
are
this
just actual
massive.
passengers.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. But that I loved like the train scene's genius, and like it's great because like this is such a good like suspense. Like when like the briefcases and stuff, and like you're like, oh, what's the deal with them being so thin? Like I'm trying to like figure out like where are they going to be hidden, or what's the deal? Why does he want them to be thin?
Oh.
And it's just like it's perfect how like the window it's great.
Every revelation of information, like it seems like, oh, it makes sense, and it's never like so mysterious that it's like this huge puzzle, but it's like watching every piece come together slowly, and like the plan of the train, and then like all the literally like several minutes of just like dudes being like reading in a fucking boardroom about the clues was riveting.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Was riveting. Yeah.
It was like it was very
I
interesting
think that
because it was
my-
shot
I-
well, and you're invested. You know.
Right. My least favorite part though was when it gets to the sting operation, I was like, this is weird. It like kind of lost its tension building. Like I thought like the investigation was really tense, like how they shot it, where it's like it would be like the beat cops talking about it and then cutting to them like doing the like interview style. Like it's like Law and Order like stole half their
Right.
film from this because it's like half their how they shoot it. But it's like I was kind of bummed when it got to the sting. It was like fun to watch, and I really appreciated like how they're like it goes from like the rose or whatever, that flower, and like that's how like
It's
the
like
drug dealer
the
knew
red
it. And they,
carnation
like,
or whatever.
yeah, the red carnation, and it's like, and they're dancing, and they change their drugs, while they're dancing. But I couldn't. This happens in old school movies like this, where like I get that maybe this is how this was done. Maybe I doubt it though. But was there like 8 people that were like follow him, but don't be noticed? It's like they're the most like the red flag cop I've ever seen in my life, like following behind. Like
the best
they're, like,
part,
they come to each other. Like,
yeah. When they come into the club and then they're like trying to be incognito, he's got like his shirt tied in a knot up here.
Yeah.
And then they sit down next to a couple cops, like in uniform, and they're just like next to him. It's like, yeah, way to be inconspicuous. But like, I don't know, man. Like, cause you're right. So, my first impressions are about the same. Where it's like, I was stoked, and then I'm like, oh, dude, this crispy black and white. Like, it's not. It's like very stark contrast, where it's like kind of dirty too, but it's so good.
Yeah. No, it really. I don't.
There was like
it's
some
you can
film,
tell-
like some damaged film in some parts. I noticed
Yes,
for sure.
Right.
And it was great. But I mean, I really like it. Gave it like a very tactile feel. I feel like this would be amazing to watch on like 35 or something. But
dude, yeah.
I was right there with you. Where I was like, oh, dude, this psychopath. Like, this could be a play. This is Virginia Woolf all over
Well, that's
again.
the
But
thing.
it's like them.
No,
and the
that's
phone.
what I was like, oh my god, is this a bottle movie? Like, is this a 24-hour film? Like, are we gonna be stuck in this room?
Right.
Yeah, I got hyped.
I got hyped, but then I was like, when they switched out of it, I was like, oh, that's okay. I was like, at first I was disappointed for like a second, and then I was like, you know what? I was ready. I'm like, I'm cool with it, and so it kept going and going, and I was like, you're right. It just kept ratcheting up, but I kept expecting like some shoe to drop. You know what I mean? Like I kept expecting like a conspiracy involved with the CEO stuff. Like he was set up. It was like all a thing to push him out of the company or something.
Which
is
kind of cool that it didn't though. Like I loved how like
I'm not mad about
how,
that.
Like, you, yeah.
It was just it's
But
just like expectations. Like I kept waiting. Like I was like, oh, these cops. They're not actually cops, dude. They're fucking hired goons. They're like something. You know what I mean? I was waiting for something.
Right. No, totally. Yeah. That actually
but-
because the money's so high. That I was like, there's got to be more people involved. Like the fact that like that dude did it with like 2 other people. It's like what?
Yeah, and they're literally like, it's the highest amount we've ever seen. It's the purest heroin. Like it's everything's like, and it's just some kid. Yeah, it's just some intern in a hospital, which is kind of great in its own right. You know what I mean, for sure. But I agree with you that like, I was into it when they found the bodies. I was into it like all this building up, like them putting the pieces together. I was bummed out it wasn't like following Gondo as much anymore because I thought he was a compelling character.
Know. My God, dude. Well, Toshiro Mifune is like, I mean, he can act so well.
Oh, dude, he was
every movie
crushing
he's
it.
in. Yeah, he's so
But
good.
The
dude. And
the two main investigators are pretty cool too, and if the one guy's like, I hate the rich, but this guy made me believe that, maybe there's a human inside all of us or whatever. Even millionaires, which that remains to be seen. This ain't the 60s anymore, bud.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Well, same with like cops too. I was like, I don't know. It's like these cops, like, why?
Hey,
no,
Japanese cops,
why
man, who
was the
knows?
entire- That's true. Yeah, I mean, I've heard. Yeah, like, Japan's a lot different than America, but it's hilarious how much the manpower they used on this. Where like I didn't even. It wasn't. They have one scene where they're like, we're gonna do this because of honor.
I know.
I'm like, they're not like. I'm like, I guess you're getting paid your salary. Like,
Yeah,
what? Like,
I get
what?
it.
Like, they just-
There's no other
but
crimes.
no.
Like drop
But it
everything.
works.
Drop everything. Because literally every time they stand up, they're like, think about poor Mr. Kondo, and it's like a single tear,
know.
and they're like,
Really, though?
and they're like, you're right. He did. He sacrificed it all. He is the true martyr of our generation. It's like every time they talked about him, they're just like, no, don't say a bad thing about Mr. Kondo, and he's over there just sweating with his lawnmower, and they're like, my God, what a brave man he is.
I know it was kind of like it really is like think of the millionaires,
which was great. I know, right? Which was great. And so like when it got to the whole bit, the heroin sting, which was like 20 minutes of like following him around, I was like, that was completely it. Like fucking killed it. The momentum for me,
really
man.
did.
Like I was on my phone for the first time.
Well, I was hoping that it would go because like this is Akira Kurosawa. He does that. He draws it out really, and then boom, it's punctuated with like a really big blast of energy. And I'm assuming so he changed it because this is a novel. So that like I think that's what helps with like the dialogue wise. Like it helps to have like established dialogue that you can work on. But anyways, because it's like the dialogue's amazing in this. But
Yeah.
I think that just happens where it's like it becomes that thing
Well-
where like in a book you can write that and it feels like it could be a chapter where it's all that.
Well, it is interesting in
but
its own right. Like if that would have been like almost a bigger part of the movie, but it's just like I was already
feels kinda
kind
like two
of
movies.
well, yeah, I was kind of wishy-washy with about the whole sting and the heroin plan to begin with, where I'm like, okay, like you guys are gonna sting him with this pure heroin or whatever, but then it's just like, and it's like it was cool seeing this part of Japan and like this underbelly of like this addicts,
I love like the
heroin alley and everything, especially in the early
like seeing the
60s,
nightlife.
when and
Right.
like they're like they stand right next to a fucking God, who was it? It was I'm stupid. It was some famous blues musician. It was like B.B. King or some shit. It wasn't some jazz musician, but they're like, we got to make sure they know only jazz artists.
Well, no.
Yeah,
It's a jazz club, but that means I think it works so well because they talked about like the war earlier on in the movie, and then they're like, oh, here are like GIs, and like here it's like look at this like multicultural like hotbed that we got here,
And it is, yeah,
Look how
it's
hip it is.
like-
we're like the full forefront of diversity, and we're hip and cool, and I felt that though. I was like, hell yeah,
I did
dude,
too,
this is
like-
dope. This is like.
it could have been cool, and it was interesting, like in a bottle, but like coming from all the tension building and like the plan behind it, I just like was not buying it. Especially like when he killed that woman, then they're just like,
Yeah.
oh, it's true,
That
and I'm
was-
like, no, dude, you got him, get him, like you got him, like he just killed that lady.
Yeah.
But
And
it was
like,
all fine.
Yeah, and it's like he already. It's like they were already like we can put him away for so much time, and then he just killed somebody. And like I understand clearly to this day we don't like they don't care about people who are like marginalized,
Right.
And especially someone who's like a sex worker or someone who's experiencing like addiction. And so it's like, okay, I get it. Yeah, it's the 60s. Like you really just wouldn't even use that. They probably don't even talk about that in court. But I'm still like, but he murdered those other two people. Like, you know it. And I'm like, what? Like, how are you going to get evidence that he killed those two people? Like, that's what like my suspension of disbelief, where I was like, how are you going to prove that he's going to kill somebody when you just lie like you're going to now? Like, one cop is going to see this dude give somebody extra heroin, and then that
You
one
gotta,
cop's gonna go,
like-
he gave him extra heroin.
you have to
I
like
don't know, it's just the same
recreate
thing.
it. It's like, no, just gather evidence to make that
yeah.
like what
Right.
happened.
Well,
like
it's
you
like,
have enough evidence to already come up with the plan that has basically proved it. Like you have the notes,
that's
you have the
proof it.
note and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You have the like
The
proof
note
that
is a big
he
one.
got access to the heroin. Like if you were trying to like sting the heroin dealer too and bring down like the drug ring, that'd be one thing
Yeah.
entirely, but it
If
definitely
they
was not.
they wanted to like French connection this thing, like I'd get it,
Right.
You know, but
But-
it's just like it's so funny how like the same thing where I was like, wait, the dude was like, he explains what he did, and he says, well, that's not enough evidence to put him away, but let's do it again, like so it is, yeah, like we'll catch him in the act. Where I'm like, but you already proved that he
Like,
extra heroin. I don't know.
Even if
it was,
he,
yeah,
like, you're going to get up
but-
to him almost killing someone that's not there. It's like, you already have all that. Anyway, but, like, that's fine. Like, all
So-
that,
right.
it did kind of, like, sizzle it out for me a little bit. Like, I was really on board. But it slowly, like, it started on such a high peak. And then, like, it really was peaking out in the middle with the train. And all the procedural stuff was super dope. And
Yeah,
so it
really
was
good.
just sort of disappointing when it kind of got to the end. And then I kept waiting, like I said. Like, in retrospect, I feel good about it. Like, I like that it was just some kid, and I like the ending when he, like, confronts him in the fucking.
Well, do you know what frustrates me? The book. So I want to read the book now because it originally has like an M style monologue where he really goes like he like
I could
he
I could
lays
see
his
that
thesis out.
because that was
And then
good. I wish there was
Kurosawa-
more of it. You know what I mean?
Right. But I do think it's effective. I
is.
loved
I
the
liked it.
ending.
I liked the
but
ending, too.
But it felt like an M thing where like he's just like it's like so good and that's his moment to just be like, this is why I did it, and I don't expect you to understand, and I am a piece of shit, but this is the
I'm
life I
running
live.
from myself. You know, like all this.
Yeah,
Like,
right. God, oh my God, dude. M is really like one of the greatest movies
So good.
ever made. I don't even like. It's like, yeah. We talk about M.
we
how
do
it
talk
just
about M
doesn't-
all
it
the
doesn't
time.
exist.
It's
It
just-
doesn't exist in
it's
like
just-
this play. Like it shouldn't be a 30s film.
no, it's
But-
bonkers. Like it, like yeah, 60s. I'd be like, yeah, it was pretty ahead of its time, but 30s. Anyway, go listen to that episode.
You know, yeah, we love
Fucking.
love it. But
So
I did enjoy this film though.
I liked it quite a lot, even despite my complaints. Like I said near the
And
end.
it is the beginning is like that blocking and that dialogue was amazing. And I watched this movie and it freaking the dialogue was like one person behind. It was so frustrating. I like didn't understand for a minute.
Like the
So, as I'm
subtitles?
watching it, the subtitles. So like there'd be like someone would say something and then you would read their reaction and then they would say it in the movie. And so like the whole time I'm watching it, I was like, it took me so long to pick up when they were like all together, those first like five guys, you know, when they're like first are talking about shoes. And when he rips that shoe apart, dude, that is like that blocking in that scene is amazing. That's
Well-
so good. Oh my God, it felt like Mad Men and like Coen Brothers made a
Let
movie
me
together. Like,
let me take a moment to talk about blocking, right? So like not just in this movie, but this month has really shown me that back in, like, not to say we don't have good blocking nowadays. I mean, like Fincher is obviously like the king of that in modern times, and like, you know, there's good shit. But like back in the earlier days of filmmaking, they really were concerned with like filling every frame, filling the whole frame with as much information as possible, even if it's just some dude in the background to fill it. So you always kind of have something to look at. And if there's nothing there, it's very, very by design to show that empty
right.
space. Like when he
yeah.
opens, the only time, so like when I do the YouTube thumbnails, I'm trying to find, because I usually, if it's dead center, I don't want to cover up the action with the text. So I try to find like a wide shot that is kind of like more of an establishing shot. But like these movies, like every frame is so full with so much good information, and every movement of the camera is so choreographed with the movement of the people that it was kind of hard that like when you do get a big open frame, like when he opens the windows, it's to show how vulnerable he is and like how exposed up on this hill he is. You know, it's just like that's the only time there's really that kind of open information on on the first half at least.
I agree, but I think this movie does such a good job at giving him power. Like when he feels powerful and he opens the windows, and that's him lording over everybody. And then the second he like wakes up the next day and he opens it, you know, and the police stay, and it's just like that is when he's just like he's being watched, and
Well,
like it just that I think that's amazing. Yeah.
There's that shot. One of the best. I mean, this movie is full of incredible shots because it's like not only the very contrasty black and white, but like just like the composition in general. But that shot when he's like finally reserved and the dudes are on the cops are in the foreground talking. The couple dudes are on the right counting the serial numbers, and he's just in the black, pure silhouetted shadow, just smoking at the dinner table. just in the background, and it's so good, dude. Like the blocking and all these older movies, because it's the same with Virginia Woolf, same with fucking To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like it does very much like, okay, we got a guy in frame, so let's put this guy here, let's put this guy here. It's like, especially in a scene with a lot of characters, like when there's like all the cops, like there's always like the framing is just always so good. Like every scene is just filled with so much information to look at. It really is like a visual medium in that way. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely notice a difference in contemporary film because I think we have more tricks up our sleeves when it comes to movement in camera. So like you can physically move the camera to create interesting blocking. And I think we've kind of gone to the extreme end where like back in the 60s, the camera was larger and it was more of the contemporary times then to just, to shoot one frame and then to build that like the 3/4 rule and like to have people move in it and less camera movement. So like when a camera moves in those movies, it's really important and like really urgent. And so nowadays, I feel like we're constantly always moving, even just like in dialogue scenes.
Exactly. It's to like somehow make it feel more cinematic. Like, I don't know why. The first thing I thought of was like, not to bash on Nolan or whatever, but like his shit is always moving. And like Dark Knight, it's like scenes, like, Dark Knight's blocked great and everything for the most part, but it's just like, the camera's spinning around. It's like, it's all very cinematic. Like there's
I think
a lot of
Schneider's a little more. Zack Snyder does that a little bit, but he's more of a culprit of that.
He
like,
is
always moving.
Well, and that's cool. You know what I mean? It gives momentum to a film, but like something about how deliberate the movement of the camera had to be, just like back then. I mean, they were kind of breaking out of their box in the 60s, like we mentioned before. It was like that was kind of like when you were getting away from all the old Hollywood tropes and like getting out of the quote unquote Hollywood system. But it's just like, even 12 Angry Men, where it's like they use the movement very, very deliberately because their camera is so big and so bulky and they have like such limited spaces and like it's not just moving just to kind of feel cinematic. It's very more in line with like the people that are showing it, like they're attached to the people. And that's why I say Fincher, because Fincher's the man about that now. It's like he basically attaches the camera to the actor's skull somehow, and he's like so locked into them that
there's a great YouTube video about that where like Fincher moves the camera with people. Like it's like you said, like it literally does feel like it's like AI tracking on them. Like it's so weird, but it looks beautiful. It doesn't feel uncanny.
Yeah, because it's cinematic, but also like at the end of the day, you're invested in these characters and the story that it's just like, I feel like a lot of times now people want to just be like, oh, look how cool this shot is. Or like, look how cinematic this sweeping shot of the city and all this. And it's like, yeah, you still get that. But like now it's like, these movies are like, no, these are the characters. This is what they're doing. We have to be really locked into them. And like, it shows. I don't know. It leads to amazing blocking. I don't.
It does. Oh, and Kurosawa, like I was saying earlier, he knows how to pace, like
he does.
How he edits. He knows, like he'll take a shot and like it almost, there's times where like it's too long but it works. It's one of those like every time it'll like happen. I can't think of one right now necessarily in this film, but there's one in Sanjuro like that where it's just like you're sitting there and it's this like duel and you're like, you get like anxious. You're like come on, do it. Like you're like waiting for it to happen. And this film has that a little bit, but this film is more reserved in that, where it's emotionally you're anxious because you're like, what is his decision going to be? Like that was the whole thing. I was like, my God, that pacing was amazing in the first act. Like you just, because and his contemplation of being like, I thought about it and I can't pay the ransom, and like he's begging and he's like, I'll give you my life and I'll give you my son's life, please, like do it. But then as the audience, and he hasn't revealed it yet, he can't. Like he literally is like, no, I literally took all of my deals I could to make this buyout work, and if the buyout doesn't work, I'm literally gone. Like
destitute.
Nothing,
My life is ruined. My career,
right?
Like not even just my career, but like everything. Yeah.
Right. And I love how the conversation with his wife, where the wife is like, well, you used my dowry to invest in this, and that's what got you money. Like, and so she's kind of like, well, I have a say, and they manipulate him that way a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, it's great, but like, I love how too, like, in the end of the day, like, it is his decision to make, but it's cool because I think he feels guilty because he didn't make the decision to save the kid. Remember how he's like, he like really is like, no, I don't want to do it, and then the cop's like, well, let's just do it, pretend, and then you'll get your money back, like that kind of deal, you know. And he like finally caves later, and like, I just, yeah, I think
that's why
that's emotionally like
yeah,
the weight.
that's why I was so invested in, like, because his character was an interesting character, and especially the angle of him becoming like the sympathetic, like, person in the media for making this decision, but then it's like he's grappling with like, yeah, like, it wasn't like, okay, I finally made a decision. Like, it's so like he had to do it, but it was like for like doing the right thing for all the wrong reasons type of shit.
Yeah.
And that's what's like so compelling. So I was like bummed that he wasn't in as much. And it was like I said, I was the whole movie I was waiting for the other shoe to drop, like for there to be something. And there was the part when they first started doing the trailing him through all the heroin stuff. I thought I saw Mr. Gondo, right?
No, he is.
Is it
he
him?
Does. Yeah, he bumps into him, but I can't. It is. Yeah, I don't know if it's like right at the beginning.
What
but I
is
think it
that
must
then?
be.
Because I was literally like, when I saw him, because he like lights his cigarette, and I'm like, what? Oh, it was all some fucking 4D chess plan, dude. Like, he had something set up, man. And then like, it wasn't, and so I was like, wait, what? So why was he there?
Yeah, I was reading about that, and like, I don't know if it was like a cutscene or something, or if it.
I don't know, man.
I'm
Like,
curious. No, I'll
like,
look into it more.
And I'm not
when we do our post show next week, I'll talk about it. I'll look it up.
Yeah, and I'm not saying it'd be like.
So come listen to that on Patreon, everybody.
Oh yeah, good plug.
How about that?
Yeah, I'm not saying it'd be better if it was like some conspiracy, but it's just like I just like
I
kept
think
expecting
I was
that, so it did affect my viewing experience because it did.
I was waiting for like the chase scene and then like the
well,
shootout. I kind of
film.
That's Kurosawa. He goes big, so I actually kind of appreciated that he just went like it like cuts and you're like, oh, okay, he got he got jailed and all that, but then he's like, it's just kind of like a very simple, like, he wants to see you, he'll only talk to you, and he just kind of talks about how, like, yeah, he just lays it out there, and which I appreciate that we got that. Like, it works better than just like the cops killed him and then it's like crime doesn't pay, Yeah. Like, it's just like, it was a little more complex for the time. So
yeah, the ending was all good, but so I'd be interested if I watch this again, with like my expectations, knowing how it all turns out, how I'd feel then, because it's like film history and like just film literacy in general has taught me that, like, especially in older movies, you either get like something that is like very loose and real, or you get something where like everything matters. And so the whole setup at the beginning with like the fucking takeover of the company, I was like, how are these two things connected? Like, they have to be connected. You know what I mean? The kidnapping happens like right after these guys are like, while they're leaving practically. And so I'm like, what's the connection? You know what I mean? And so the whole time, because it's like a mystery thriller. And so you like, all the puzzle pieces are slowly coming. And so I'm like, wait, what? And then when they finally show the guy, I was like, do I recognize him? Or like, I'm like, is he?
Right. I was like,
it's not the assistant. No, it's not him. And I'm like, who is this fucking guy? And it is just some random guy, which, again, totally works. But and in retrospect, I do like it because it does feel more raw, especially, and it all kind of brings it back around with that little bit of that dialogue at the end in the visiting room or whatever. But yeah, it was like the whole time it was in my headspace. So
yeah. It's Chekhov's shoe, dude. I like really thought the shoe company was going to be
something,
a larger part of it. I mean, he destroys the shoe right in front of everybody. It's like I really was expecting it to be that. So
he's like, sell your garbage and all that.
Yeah, I do appreciate that it does feels more like it feels like a Coen brother. I've kind of felt like Big Lebowski a little bit during this, like that whole, like, I just kind of, they flub up the
before
I thought the kidnapping was gonna be screwed up.
Yeah, right. I could definitely see some Coen stuff before we get into like the Money Minute and like the couple Reddits and stuff. We just got to mention real quick, we're gonna see a remake pretty soon of this, so maybe we'll have to revisit it.
Okay, dude, and who is it gonna be?
It's Spike Lee.
It's Spike. Is it Spike Lee again?
It's a Spike Lee joint, and it's starring Denzel Washington.
It is Denzel and Jeffrey Wright. So freaking. Scorsese was supposed to remake it, and I'm bummed. And then he dropped out in 2008. So in '99 he was going to remake it. Dropped out in 2008, and then he was going to come back in 2022, and then he decided not to.
I want to hope. Like, I do think it'd be a lot harder to do nowadays because, like, if they make it contemporary, like, a lot of the shit that happens is very much reliant on the lack of technology and the technology of the time. Like, all the shit, all the smoke. Like, you can't redo the smoke in modern day. Like, you're just going to bug it, or you're going to fucking have surveillance and cameras. So I'd be interested to see how they do this story if they do it contemporary, which they probably will. But I'm like, Spike Lee is such a mixed bag, man. I'm like, I'm
He's in a
scared.
mixed bag. Well,
Like,
apparently, Steven Soderbergh and Ed Solomons 2023 TV series Full Circle is a tentative soft remake.
Yeah,
So-
I saw that when I was looking it up, and I was like, oh, I remember seeing that on like Showtime or HBO or something. I saw
Full
like the
Circle,
thing for it, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll check. That makes me a little bit more intrigued, but I don't know, man. Spike Lee, if anything, like his remakes, because
I'm nervous.
Old Boy was one of the abominations, and it's like, okay, he's got good talent. Denzel, Jeffrey Wright, those are good dudes. But I mean, he had Josh Brolin for Old Boy, and he still fucked the pooch on that. So I don't know, man. I'm scared.
And it was rough because Spike Lee, like, he was like, I'm gonna make Old Boy, and like, I swear to God, right? He never saw the movie, and he was just like, I want to do it for the paycheck or something. Like, I remember him just being like, get off my back, I just made it.
Kind
Dude,
of.
we got to give this. I hope with this movie at least, he was like, I read the book and I want to make an adaptation.
Or,
like, I don't know.
or Akira Kurosawa is a fucking legend. I watched this movie and I thought it was incredible. And I'm a big hotshot filmmaker. I'm gonna remake it, so I got the rights, and I'm gonna do that. Like, I hope
so
that
weird,
there's
too, 'cause-
some kind of something, and he's not just like
know.
pulling it out of his ass or something. Because I don't.
And
know.
we lean pro Lee, like Spike Lee.
Oh, yeah.
makes some dope movies, but like why is he taking on
when he's hitting,
such
he's
weird
he's
remakes? I don't know.
firing. He's doing some of the fucking ballsiest, coolest stuff when he's fucking hitting it. But when he's not, I don't know what he's doing, man. Like, I don't know. He's
Oh,
a
he's
very
phoning it in, I guess.
very inconsistent filmmaker.
Yeah,
Which is which is interesting. So we shall see, because I am interested
We'll see.
more than him just doing it, and like I would love to see Denzel and presumably the Mr. Gonzo role, I would assume, and then probably Jeffrey Wright is like with the detective, most likely, I'd assume. Makes the most sense to me, but we'll see. So I do hope it moves along though, because just for the interest of science, I don't, just to see how it goes, this experiment.
I did not watch The Old Boy, so I don't know. I'm kind of.
It's rough, buddy. It's rough.
I should see it for myself. Get out there, and
he's
ride the horse. But
Spike Lee's full of shit because, like, he said he's doing more off the comic, but he totally tried to recreate some of the scenes from the movie, like the hallway scene. Like, he tried to do that,
scene.
and he flubbed it. But it's like that's from the movie strictly, so it's like I don't know, but whatever, man. So
Anyways,
we'll
well,
see.
yeah.
I'm
Look out
scared.
for that, folks.
Yeah, it's Spike Lee.
Yeah.
He's pretty good, but he's no Kurosawa, so
I know.
that's a tough one.
Yeah.
So you got
you want a
got
little
some
money, man?
money for me? Yeah.
So it was 230 million yen, which equals like 1.5 million dollars.
Okay.
For the budget. So that seems pretty legit. I mean, it like the first part takes place straight up in a home, so it's like they showed that really good. But then it made 460 million yen, so like 3.1 million dollars. It did pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are fine numbers, and
It's acclaimed. It's like, a lot of stuff we've been watching have been on the Criterion. You know what I mean? It's like they're definitely.
well, and this is Criterion number 24. So
Yeah.
which
It's culturally significant for sure.
Yeah.
Even over here, I am curious. Also, like, I'm curious what kind of impact this had in Japan. Like, I wonder what the release was like. 1960s Japan. This movie coming out. I wonder what going to see High and Low was like.
Did you read that? I mean, Heaven and Hell though is such a good name for it. But did you read that his daughter was threatened to get kidnapped after he made this movie?
What?
Because kidnapping was like ransoms was on a rise.
it's huge.
Which you think about it, ransoms, like, we haven't had a good kidnapping in a while.
Yeah, like when was the last one?
Don't
It
get
was
any
like,
ideas though, people, please.
The chick from here. What was her name? Amy Smart, right? Anyway,
I know, right? And that's
That was the last-
That's even like that's more like just human trafficking. That's less like a ransom as much as like
I don't know
she
what that
got
was.
kidnapped
Yeah,
and
that
then,
was
like live Stockholm or something. But I don't know. Yeah. Don't kidnap anyone though, please.
We do a
Especially
let's do a kidnapping
Kurosawa's
month.
daughter.
Yeah, don't kidnap Kurosawa's daughter.
Yeah, please.
So I got a Redditor too for you. So Avery5712 says such a great movie, probably my favorite Kurosawa film that doesn't have samurai. Yeah.
Go see Ikaru and go see Dreams. I
Is
guess Dreams kind of.
Dreams is about
No.
is everything, I guess. I don't know.
I guess everything, yeah, kind of. But actually, I don't
Got it all,
think-
baby.
Does it have samurai? I'm like trying to remember.
I
Because
know,
there's like
I've never seen it.
10 shorts or something, or like
Yeah, it's
8
like
shorts or
a
something.
collection.
I don't.
vibe.
But the one with like Van Gogh is fucking dope.
I've never seen
It's
it, dude.
so
I
good,
need to.
dude. God, you got it.
I know
You
we
gotta
watched
see
a
it.
scene, and then Brandon had that poster in his classroom forever, the
Yeah.
Dreams poster,
Yeah. a
which
good
made
poster,
me
yeah.
want to watch it. So, also, Clones of People 2 says, second watch, I saw this a few years ago and loved it. You can't go wrong with Kurosawa, Milfu film, and this is no expectation. The whole film is riveting and expertly written, directed, and acted. Absolutely. This feels like two films in one, and both of them are great for different reasons. The boardroom drama is so well written, and the blocking/framing is amazing. Watch how every character is doing something in the shot that conveys their position/thoughts on the current views. Movie magic. The police procedural part is great too for unfolding the investigation. The scenes where the police go through all the leads and clues piece by piece is just a joy to watch. The film feels very modern, and at parts I forgot that this was made in the 60s. When Kingo and the cops were just talking about how they would track the suitcase, I was like, oh, they'll put a bug in it. Then I remembered when it was made. Anyway, this is great. 9 out of 10. One of Kurosawa's best, but that's a long list. Yes, well said. Yeah, exactly. Like the blocking, man. I went on the rant, but
The blocking is great.
It's
Well,
like
then
it
I
is.
do-
You
actually,
can't
I love-
every character, even the minor ones. It's like they're all
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah, thanks for commenting. And I totally agree. Like there were so many times where I was like, it's like this movie can't really be made today because it like I mean I even like tracking phones and stuff and like finding locations and like, but I don't know though. When I think about it, it's like I guess it could be made and it would just be. It's kind of like it kind of gave me like phone booth vibes a little bit, too. Something where it like,
Dude, when are we gonna watch
I don't know.
Phone Booth?
I know we've got to. Dude.
Phone
It's
Booth
like, yeah.
unironically rules. Like
It does. No, 100%.
it's the best Schumacher movie, probably.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, yeah. Ugh, yeah. But it's like, you know, we got. I don't know. I loved them, like trying to like triangulate where the phone call was coming from because it's like his view and that like the house up top, you know,
How
on the hills, is
hot.
beautiful.
How hot the
So
phone
good.
booths were at the time of the
dude.
day. Like
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. That's all very compelling stuff. That it's like the
It is.
way that it's just kind of presented. It's like, oh, it's cool how they narrow it down. Like a good police procedural feels good,
yeah.
and it's just like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I just give it more slack when they're older, or if they just do
Yeah.
kind of a better job like pulling it out or whatever. Because now it does feel like kind of like I feel like that in a modern setting is like would feel trite. You know what I mean? Just like, okay,
I know.
like you
I know.
don't
I really
them
wonder
sitting
how
there
they would do that.
explaining information. Like for some reason, I guess that's just like you got to be a good director and a good filmmaker,
and I think
to keep it,
yeah.
keep it going.
I guess yeah. I mean, seven does it, but 7 actually kind of stayed away from computers, like because that's kind of like where I'm like that's what you do now is like it would be a lot of computer work where it's like we've got the mainframe and we're like going through and like we're triangulating it this way.
The
where like back then it's
mainframe.
like cool because it's just like a graph and a slideshow and they're just like
How-
and it's just like it's policing.
How-
We're just boots on the ground,
Yeah, I don't know how we've not watched 7 for the podcast either.
dude. Have we? I think we might have.
No, I don't think so. I haven't watched.
Okay, I watched.
I watched
okay.
7 so much. This is a tangent. I watched 7 so much back in the day. It's like was one of
I
my
know.
formative films. But I haven't seen it in a while. I would remember. I haven't seen it in like 5 years. probably.
I saw it with Victoria, so it's been at least 5 years. But I swear to God, we did it for the pod. But who knows?
knows?
Maybe maybe we didn't. No, yeah, maybe we did.
Dude, we haven't
What's
done
in the box?
like
I
we
don't
haven't done like any Fincher.
Yeah,
We did Zodiac.
We did. Oh, we
and,
did
like,
Zodiac. maybe that's it. Maybe we watched 7 because of Zodiac. Anyways, that was a tangent. This movie was great.
Yeah.
Kurosawa.
Fincher should do the High and Low remake. Just saying.
I know. Really though.
He would do good. Anyway, yeah, Kurosawa is great. This movie was really, really good. I really quite enjoyed it. I was glad to finally watched it because it has been one that has consistently popped up over the years, and I've been thinking about it. And recently, I've been seeing that news about Spike Lee, and so I'm like, it's perfect time to watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we went that route and ended up doing that. So yeah, check it out. If you haven't watched it, it's 100% worth your time. I want to see someone
you can't
adapt
get
it
enough.
into a play, though. Somehow.
I know. Really, I mean, it could be. It
First
could be
half
easily,
easily, and then you could find a way.
And then-
just have a little train set
totally.
and a little boardroom set, man. You got it. You could bring it back
Yeah.
around. You could tweak it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But if you love these 60s riveting 60s films, we've got another awesome one that's going to be probably similar. I don't know, like it's what is it, Jean-Pierre Melville or whatever, he directed La Samurai, and so like that's like super intense, so I know that this will be decent.
Yeah.
But I really don't know anything about this movie. So
I know. I'm surprised.
I'm excited.
I'm surprised at one. So next week we are watching Army of Shadows, 1969. I'm surprised at one because it's up against The Great Escape, Blow Up, Midnight Cowboy, and Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, which are all like big names. But I never really heard of Army of Shadows. But I was like searching 60s movies, and I'm like, this one's really highly rated, and it looks cool, and it's like a war movie kind of, or like more like takes place during the war. I don't know if it's a war movie, but
it's a war movie.
I know very little about it, so I'm looking forward to checking it out. But I made damn fucking sure that all 5 of those movies were in color. So we could have done it too with one stone.
Audience.
Yeah,
a little audience retention here.
No, I don't even.
We're gonna do a black and white month. We're doing a black and white month. It
We
doesn't
will.
matter. It'll
We
be
will.
next year.
We'll do it. We'll do
We're
it.
gonna do it. We're doing it. Blah, blah, blah.
You know what? Maybe we'll do it for December, so we can. There's some good Christmas movies for black and white. We can watch like It's a Wonderful Life or something.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay. All right, guys. Well,
Anyway,
thank you for supporting us. If you want to support us more, go to Patreon. That's one of our.
check it out. We got bonus
places to be.
episodes, bonus little ramble stuff, stickers.
If you want to, stickers all the way, baby. If you want to chat with us, come to Reddit. Or go to YouTube.
Please,
we get comments and we
chat
cry
with
on
me.
YouTube because
I'm
people
so
dog us on
lonely.
YouTube. But I love it.
Dog
I
me.
love it.
You can
I
dog me.
I love the comments. Keep them coming.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for that. And Jordan,
night.
thank you. Bud.
Yeah. No, really though. Thank Akira Kurosawa.
Yeah, I know.
Stinger film would not exist.
Seriously, yeah. Let's give a thanks to the big guy.
I'm a simp, so.
Yeah, big time. You are a simp. I remember.
I am. I mean, yeah. Don't. I can't say that. Never mind. Forget that. Love you guys.
All right. Bye.